Every man at some point in his life believes he's found the woman who will finally quiet his chaos. He looks into her eyes and imagines safety, a sanctuary, where loyalty and love exist, without condition. He believes that if he gives enough, loves enough, and proves himself worthy, she will be his entirely. But what if that belief is the very thing that destroys him? What if the more he tries to make her his, the more she slips away, not because she is cruel, but because she was never meant to be possessed? Carl Jung once said that love is not the merging of two souls, but the meeting of two illusions. Each person sees in the other a reflection of what they long to find within themselves. The man sees in the woman his peace, his comfort, the mirror of his ideal feminine, his anima. The woman sees in the man her strength, her guidance, the mirror of her ideal masculine, her animus. They fall in love not with each other, but with what they awaken in one another. And when that projection fades, so does the illusion of perfect loyalty. Men often mistake a woman's presence for permanence. They think the one who laughs with them today will remain when life becomes dull, when he is no longer mysterious, when routine replaces passion. But the feminine spirit is not static. Her energy flows toward what makes her feel alive. Her loyalty is not a chain, it is a rhythm. She remains loyal not to comfort but to intensity, not to a man but to the emotion he creates in her. And when that emotion fades, so too does the version of her that loved him. This is why even the most devoted woman can change. Not always in betrayal, but in essence. The woman you fell in love with may still sleep beside you, but her spirit may already be elsewhere. Her gaze may still meet yours, but her soul might be seeking a different spark, a reflection of a lost intensity she once felt. This doesn't mean she never loved you. It means her love was bound to transformation. The tragedy is that most men confuse that transformation with disloyalty. To understand her, a man must abandon the fantasy of ownership. He must see love not as possession but as participation. You don't own her heart. You are invited to inhabit it for a moment. The more you try to secure her, the more her soul retreats, not out of malice, but because the feminine spirit dies in captivity. The more you try to keep her, the faster she needs to move. Why she can't belong completely. The idea that a woman can belong entirely to one man is an ancient dream and born from a masculine desire for order in a chaotic world. From the beginning of civilization, men sought control of land, of destiny, and of love. But love refuses to be owned. It moves like water, shaped by the vessel, yet never becoming it. The female psyche by nature reflects this flow. She bonds deeply but never absolutely. Her loyalty is an experience of the present moment, not a contract written in eternity. From a Jungian view, the feminine archetype thrives on polarity. She is both lover and wanderer, nurturer and destroyer. To love her means to dance with this duality. But most men try to cage it, demanding that her emotional energy remain constant. They cannot accept that her faithfulness is not built on duty but desire. The moment desire dies, duty becomes a prison. So her subconscious revolts, she distances, she tests, she withdraws. Not because she planned to hurt you, but because something deep within her refuses to love without feeling alive. Nietzsche said, "Love is a state in which man sees things as they are not." In that blindness, men idolize women as symbols of salvation, and that idolization is what kills attraction. When you place her on a pedestal, she must descend to reality. And when she does, you see her humanness, her contradictions, her changing moods, her unexplainable distance. Most men respond to this shift with fear and control. They chase harder, they beg for reassurance, they demand loyalty. But loyalty obtained through pressure is not faithfulness, it's compliance. And compliance kills desire faster than betrayal ever could. If you want to understand female faithfulness, you must see it as energy, not ownership. Her loyalty mirrors the strength of your presence. When your energy is grounded, when your purpose remains firm, she orbits you willingly. But when you lose that center, when you become emotionally reactive or dependent and her instinct senses weakness, she won't admit it, but something primal in her withdraws. She stops respecting what she no longer feels guided by. In that moment, her body may still be yours, but her heart starts to wander. The emotional law of the feminine. Every woman carries within her an invisible law, a law older than culture, older than morality itself. It says, "I will follow the energy that awakens me, even if it destroys what I have." This is the paradox of female love. She desires both safety and danger, comfort and challenge, tenderness and power. She needs to feel both protected and free. And most men can't hold that contradiction without feeling threatened. They demand consistency where nature demands movement. Jung described the feminine psyche as lunar, cyclical, ever-shifting, responsive to unseen forces. When a man expects her to love like the sun, steady, constant, predictable, he misunderstands her essence. Her faithfulness is emotional before it is physical. If you can hold her emotions, she will stay. If you fail to understand them, she will drift, sometimes without knowing why. And when she drifts, you might think she has changed, but in truth, she has returned to her original rhythm. The modern world taught men to measure faithfulness in actions, in texts, replies, and physical boundaries. But true faithfulness lives in energy. You'll know she's faithful when her heart still seeks your presence when you are not around, when her silence still carries warmth, when her eyes soften at your name. You'll know she's unfaithful long before she ever touches another man. You'll feel it in her absence, in the quiet withdrawal of her attention, in the way her laughter no longer rises from the soul. This is the hidden truth behind female faithfulness. It isn't a promise. It's a reflection of the energy she feels when she is with you. You cannot force it, you can only embody it. The moment you understand that, you stop trying to own her, and she begins paradoxically to stay. The shadow of desire and the feminine test. Every man who has truly loved a woman eventually meets the shadow of that love. The moment he realizes she cannot be completely possessed, that realization hurts because the masculine ego thrives on certainty, on knowing where it stands. But a woman's love does not live in certainty. It lives in feeling. Her devotion is not a fixed line. It is a living pulse. The stronger your presence, the more she orbits you. The weaker your direction, the further she drifts. And here lies the painful paradox. She will unconsciously test you to see if you are the man strong enough to hold her emotional chaos. These tests are not deliberate acts of manipulation. They are expressions of the feminine's deepest fear, to surrender to a man who cannot contain her depth. So she provokes, withdraws, questions, and contradicts. She wants to feel that your strength remains unshaken even when she shakes everything around you. Most men fail here. They interpret her tests as rejection, her mood swings as betrayal, her silence as disinterest. They respond by demanding reassurance or retreating into bitterness. Both reactions kill polarity. The moment you chase her validation, she feels that she is leading the dynamic, and her subconscious stops trusting your masculine center. The moment you withdraw completely, she feels abandoned and emotionally starved. The art lies in holding tension, in neither clinging nor detaching, but staying calm, grounded, and unbothered. Carl Jung described this balance as the integration of animus and anima, the union of strength and empathy, power and presence. When a man embodies this harmony, he becomes emotionally magnetic. The woman senses it. She feels safe in his stability, but alive in his mystery. And in that space, her faithfulness deepens, not as a rule, but as a natural gravity. A woman's tests are not meant to break you. They are meant to awaken you. If she tests, it means she still believes there is something in you worth testing. Indifference, not conflict, is the real death of love. When her tests no longer stir emotion, it's not peace, it's emotional withdrawal. That's when her loyalty fades quietly. When she becomes polite instead of passionate, calm instead of captivated. Why the feminine seeks the unreachable. There's a hidden law within female attraction. The woman is drawn to what she cannot completely have. This truth unsettles men because it implies that perfect devotion is impossible. But it's not about betrayal. It's about fascination. Desire thrives in the space between closeness and distance. When you make yourself too available, too predictable, the mystery dies, and with it her admiration. Nietzsche once wrote, "One must still have chaos within to give birth to a dancing star." The feminine soul dances in that chaos. She needs to feel that the man beside her is not fully conquered, that there are still depths in him she cannot reach. This doesn't mean playing games or withholding affection. It means living from a place of inner self-sufficiency. The man who is completely dependent on her attention loses his polarity. The man who loves her but does not need her creates the tension that keeps her desire alive. A woman's nature is tuned to evolution. The moment the relationship becomes static, she unconsciously seeks a new challenge, sometimes within the same man, sometimes beyond him. This is why she loves intensity, ambition, and purpose. These things remind her that her man is moving, growing, expanding. When she senses stagnation, she becomes restless. Her restlessness is not disloyalty, it is instinct. Her soul wants movement, and if you no longer provide it, her psyche begins to wander emotionally. Men must understand she cannot remain faithful to a man who has stopped being faithful to his own purpose. Her loyalty mirrors your direction. When your mission becomes bigger than her, she becomes drawn to your light. But when you make her your mission, she loses respect for you, because you've handed her a power she never wanted to hold. Faithfulness is not about surveillance or control. It's about polarity, the eternal dance of pursuit and distance, of safety and risk. A man rooted in his masculine energy creates the structure in which her feminine can move freely. And in that movement she finds her belonging, not as ownership but as choice. The truth about emotional infidelity. Most men think of faithfulness as purely physical, about not crossing boundaries with another body. But emotional infidelity happens long before physical betrayal. It begins in the silence of a relationship, when two people still live together but have stopped truly meeting. When she stops confiding in you, when she starts sharing her thoughts with someone else, when she laughs at another man's words more easily than yours. Her body may still be home, but her heart is wandering. This emotional drift is rarely intentional. Women often don't realize it's happening. They justify it as friendship or harmless connection. But at its core, it's the soul's attempt to feel seen again. When a woman feels emotionally invisible, she looks for reflection elsewhere. That reflection becomes her addiction. She might not even want the other man. She wants the version of herself she becomes when she's around him. Carl Jung would call this the projection of the animus, the inner masculine energy she seeks to integrate through another man. And until she awakens that energy within herself, she will unconsciously chase it through external connections. That is why many women love two men at once. One who provides stability, and another who reawakens emotion. One who gives comfort and another who revives her wildness. A mature man understands this paradox. He doesn't panic when he senses emotional distance. He reads it as information. He knows that love is not something he can demand, but something he must continually evoke through presence. The man who is emotionally intelligent, enough to see beyond her surface, who can feel her unspoken longing and respond with grounded energy, becomes irreplaceable. Because while a woman may be drawn to many men, she can only trust the one who sees her soul without judgment. True faithfulness is never owned. It's earned daily through the gravity of your presence. When a man masters that, he doesn't have to fear her wandering heart, because even if she drifts, she always finds her way back to the strength she first felt in him. Why she betrays the love she once worshipped. Every man who has loved deeply has faced the same haunting question. How can she betray what once seemed sacred? How can the same woman who once looked at him with eyes full of devotion now seem cold, distant and detached, as if their shared moments never mattered? The answer lies not in cruelty but in transformation. The feminine heart is a shifting landscape. It mirrors the phases of the moon. What she feels now is real, but it is not permanent. And when her inner world changes, she does not see it as betrayal. She experiences it as rebirth. Carl Jung would explain this as psychic evolution. Every woman carries within her multiple archetypes: the lover, the mother, the huntress, the sage. Each phase of her life activates different energies. When she met you, she might have been the lover, passionate, vulnerable, intoxicated by mystery. But as her psyche evolves, other archetypes awaken. The lover fades, and the nurturer, or even the seeker, begins to take her place. Her loyalty shifts not because she stops loving you, but because she has outgrown the version of herself that loved you. This is why many men feel blindsided when a woman leaves. They believe she changed overnight. But the truth is, her change began long before she said a word. Her soul had already started writing a new story. What looks like betrayal is often simply the feminine psyche moving toward a new emotional frequency. If you cling to the old version of her, you end up chasing a ghost, trying to revive a woman who no longer exists. The truth most men cannot face is this: a woman's betrayal often begins as self-betrayal. She first betrays her own emotions to maintain peace. She hides her discontent to avoid hurting you. And when she can no longer carry that silence, the truth spills out, not as confession but as escape. That's when she leaves. Not because she hates you, but because she can no longer lie to herself about who she has become. The feminine mirror, her faithfulness reflects your soul. Every woman a man encounters acts as a mirror. She doesn't show him who she is, she shows him who he is becoming. Her faithfulness, her passion, her devotion, they all respond to his energy. When he is aligned with his truth, she reflects admiration. When he drifts into confusion, she mirrors chaos. This is not manipulation. It's spiritual law. Jung called it the principle of projection. What you fail to integrate within, life forces you to face through others. When a man is disconnected from his purpose, his relationships start to crumble. The feminine presence around him becomes restless, unpredictable, untrusting. Not because she wishes to hurt him, but because her energy can sense the void within him. A woman cannot stay faithful to a man who is unfaithful to himself. When he loses his mission, she unconsciously begins to pull away, testing whether he will reclaim it. Her distance is not always rejection. Sometimes it is initiation. This is why emotionally awakened men don't chase women. They chase truth. They understand that every feminine withdrawal is an invitation to return to self-mastery. When you reconnect to your mission, your discipline, your higher calling, the women around you naturally realign. You don't need to demand their loyalty. Your energy commands it silently. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." The same applies to relationships. When a man lives for something greater than comfort, women feel it. His energy carries purpose, a vibration stronger than lust or approval. The feminine responds instinctively to that. She becomes faithful not because she's afraid to lose him, but because she's inspired to stand beside him. So when you ask why women aren't fully yours, the deeper truth is this: they're not supposed to be. Their nature is to flow, to mirror, to test, to awaken. The question is not whether she's faithful, it's whether you are faithful to yourself. Because when you master your inner world, her changing emotions no longer destabilize you. You stop fearing her freedom. You stop confusing her evolution for disloyalty. You understand that her loyalty was never meant to be owned, only reflected. Freedom is the only real faithfulness. The man who understands women doesn't seek to own them. He understands that the highest form of love is freedom, not control. She will never be fully yours because she doesn't belong to you. She belongs to life. To experience her, even for a moment, is to witness life expressing itself through beauty, chaos, emotion, and evolution. To demand permanence from her is to demand stillness from the ocean. It cannot be done, and yet that's what makes her love divine. It is fleeting, mysterious, alive. Jung taught that true love begins only when projection ends. When you stop seeing the other person as your missing half and start seeing them as an independent soul walking beside you. When you stop saying she completes me and start saying she reflects me. The woman who cannot be fully yours becomes the greatest teacher of your life, because through her, you learn to become fully yourself. A mature man doesn't panic when a woman changes. He doesn't beg for her loyalty. He watches with calm awareness, knowing that her emotional tides are part of her nature. If she stays, he honors her presence. If she leaves, he blesses her journey. Either way, he remains centered. That's the quiet power of masculine sovereignty. To love deeply without losing yourself in that love. And perhaps that is the secret no one dares to tell men. A woman's faithfulness is not proof of your worth. It is only a reflection of your energy. When your energy rises, everything around you aligns. When you lose yourself, everything you try to hold on to slips away. She will never be fully yours, but if you live with purpose, confidence, and truth, she will always remember the man who never needed to own her to make her stay. That is the essence of male mastery. To love without fear, to lead without control, and to remain whole in the face of change. Because the man who no longer needs her loyalty has already earned something far greater, her eternal respect.